a little minute early. Call tonight's meeting to order. First off, any changes in the agenda for anybody as far as council is concerned? You ready to go? Okay, in that case, let's stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mr. Buffett?
Here.
Mr. Morgan? Mr. Neff?
Here.
Mrs. Oliver? Here. And Mr. Tisch?
Here. Mr. Mayor, I understand we've got some proclamations and
We sure do.
presentations this evening.
I'd like to call Mr. Sam Pizzulo and Commander Mike Kavitsa to come up. I'd like to welcome all the Legionnaires and all the guests here. Before I turn it over to Mike, I'd like to say a few things. This is a great time to be here this evening. I'm so happy you can make it, so happy you can make it, Commander. The city has had a long-term relationship with the American Legion. It is over, I think it's 97 or 98 years the city and American Legion have done the Memorial Day. But there's been more than that. There's been the recent parking sign, veterans parking sign. There's been a good collaboration, a good working relationship between the city and American Legion. This is a veteran-friendly city, always has been, a lot of history, always will be. You can just go look in our cemeteries and see how many veterans are in those cemeteries. I think it's over 360, the price that's been paid with people from Canfield. So tonight we gather here for another special occasion, and a project was started between the American Legion and the city, pretty much led by the American Legion, and I'd like to have Commander Kavitsa tell you a little bit about that, and then he'll turn it back to me and we'll go from there.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Commander.
A little bit how the project started is we attempted to have flags put on two bridges here in town to cross over the turnpike on North Broad Street as well as Herbert Road. Turnpike Commission came back right away and said no on Herbert Road, and about a month later on North Broad Street they said no. And the reasoning was they weren't designed to carry the wind load. So we kicked it around a little bit and talked around the table, and we came up with the idea it would be nice to have a large flagpole on the north green, on the north end of the green. And that's what we decided to do. We went with a 60-foot pole, give you an idea, the utility poles in that area are about 45 feet. So we'll be 15 feet above them, and it should be a nice sight coming in from Austintown, coming into the city to see the flag. It'll be a 12-foot by 18-foot flag, which will be a nice size. We plan on doing two phases. We have the flagpoles on order, and it should be here next week. And if all goes well, we're planning a dedication for November 9th, Saturday, November 9th. And then in the spring, we will have another dedication for plaques. And then we want to do bricks around the flagpole to honor. What I did is, when I sent letters of request out, I put a form that if they wanted to honor an individual, and everyone came back with honoring a parent, a father or a brother, so that should be nice. And the other part of this program is we have legislation in the state through Senator Woolley to have 3 bridges named. The one on 224 that crosses over Route 11, that would be the Armed Forces Bridge. The one on Herbert Road that crosses over the turnpike would be the First Responders Bridge. And then the one on North Broad Street would be in honor of Lou Speece, a longtime American Legion commander as well as the starter of the War Vet Museum. And we thought, too, that would be appropriate coming down that road and looking at the flag. We thought it would be nice. So that's pretty much how the program started and where we are today. And I appreciate Sam stepping up and helping us out.
So as far as the fundraising aspect. As Commander mentioned, fundraising campaign was started, letters sent out, got some people from the till open that participated. I got a long-term relationship with Mike through the Legion, but also through this guy. We all go all the way back to Class B, 17, when he used to strike me out all the time playing baseball with this double windup. And we ended up in the same city, and we coached together at Canfield High School, so both coaches together. And got a call to say, what's going on with this project? And told him a little bit about what was happening and where we were at, having talked to Mike. And so tonight, it's going to pretty much finish it off for us and what we needed. So at this time, I'd like to have Sam make a presentation.
I'd like to present this check to pay off the balance to put the flagpole up and everything else.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate all you've done. Thank you.
In typical Sam fashion, he just wants to run out there and leave. But Sam, I'm not done with you yet. Yeah, I know you are. But Sam has become a real Canfield guy. I know your roots are Rockford to Louisville. But I got a little proclamation for you I'd like to share. Whereas Samuel J. Pizzullo is a remarkable businessman and philanthropist who is a humble gentleman that is a difference maker in our community. Whereas Sam started his award-winning Sam Pizzullo Homes and Remodeling LLC in 1990 in our city of Canfield, where he expanded and added a design center in 2013. Sam's professional affiliations include the HBA, the National Association of Home Builders, the Regional Chamber, the Better Business Bureau, and a certification as an aging in place specialist. And whereas Sam has received numerous professional and personal awards that include Best of Ohio Homes, Best Remodeling Project, Historical Renovation, HBA Remodeler and HBA Builder of the Year, American Red Cross Hero of the Valley, Regional Chamber Spirit of the Valley, Canfield Rotary Citizen of the Year 2 times, and the Town Crier Best of the Best Home Builder and Remodeler 7 times. Whereas Sam has been an active community volunteer and philanthropist. He coached area baseball teams, including Canfield High School, for over 25 years. He was elected to serve on the Canfield Board of Education. His numerous philanthropy and acts of kindness include serving on a unique group called the Core 6, where meaningful charitable acts were accomplished at the Mahoney Valley Makeover, the Joe Calusa Project, and the American Legion Post 427, where they support 4-H through the purchase of animals. And whereas Sam Pizzullo graciously and generously supported the current Canfield American Legion Post 177 flagpole project on the Village Green that will salute and honor all Canfield Armed Forces veterans and all our police, fire, and EMS safety services. Now, therefore, I, Richard A. Duffett, Mayor of the City of Canfield, State of Ohio, do hereby proclaim Wednesday, October 2nd as Samuel J. Pizzullo Day. Hereunto set my hand, and in witness thereof, I cause the seal of the City of Canfield to be affixed. Congratulations, Sam. Welcome. Could we get a picture with all council and then a picture with all Legionnaires? So first come with all council. Just you can stand right here, you guys come on around. You stand in the middle there. Right there, we'll just come on around. Thanks for your play. Right in the middle, right in the middle. Perfect. All right. All Legionnaires, they can come up. Second row for this one. We'll just give it to them. Anybody who's in American Legion, either past or present. Come on around this way, too. Yeah, here's little guys in front. Come on in. Yeah, see, I'm here in the middle. All right.
Did you get me in the picture?
I don't know.
No,
Shut the camera off when you were up there, Frank.
Use Photoshop, you can take care of it. Where's the
Okay, we're going to continue this point. Approval of the minutes. All members of council have received copies of... I'm sorry. I didn't realize.
How could you forget? How could you forget?
Pardon me?
How could you forget?
I didn't make a note.
Got our whole family sitting.
My one meeting a year. We have a presentation from the State Auditor's Office. I'm sorry, I apologize. My neighbors never do let me hear that.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here. My name is Perry Alexandritis. I'm the East Regional Liaison with the State Auditor's Office. So I'm here tonight to present the Auditor's State Award. And what does that mean? It means you guys got a clean audit. What does that mean? Quite a bit of criteria there. Let me give you a little bit of an idea. That means no findings for recovery, no material citations or weaknesses, no single audit findings or significant deficiencies, no reconciliation or timeliness issues, no ethics referrals, no issues with public meetings or public records, and the list goes on. Needless to say, the requirements are very stringent. So stringent, in fact, that fewer than 10% of the nearly 6,000 entities that we audit across the state aren't even eligible for the award. That speaks volumes right there. Now, this award represents the hard work of every city employee in the city of Canfield. It takes a group effort, and everybody should be proud. I want to specifically recognize the mayor, city council, and especially Christine for her hard work, her leadership, her fiscal responsibility, integrity, and professionalism. Christine, if you would, come up. Got you guys a nice frame here. I want to present this to you on behalf of State Auditor Keith Faber and the people of the state of Ohio. Congratulations and thank you so much for all you did. Thank you. You guys want me to get up?
Yeah, okay.
How many in a row?
Oh, yeah.
That makes 9 in a row. I wasn't aware that you guys have done this 9 times in a row. I have to check the record because you got to be getting close, right? You got to be getting close. So I got to check the record for you guys. Do you want to get another picture?
Yeah, it's been family one.
Does council want to come down? Wait, you want to get in touch?
Going back to the beach.
Hold it. And I'll stay.
Got it. That's a nice
Yes. Just a little bit.
Another in the hallway.
wall space.
We are. Real somebody. Pay somewhere else.
Okay, now, is there
Keep an
anything
eye on
else
it.
I forgot?
I'll keep an eye on you.
Okay, let's move forward with approval of minutes. As all members of council have received a copy of the minutes of our last meeting. Are there any corrections, additions, changes, whatever you like to make? Okay, minutes will stand approved as presented then. Reading and communications. Mary, you have anything?
I have none.
Christine? This is all we're speaking.
No, the only thing that I had this week is we had a lot of residents on my streets and on Oak Tree and on Pinecone reach out to me because we have some water pressure issues. But I also wanted to say to Wade and to you, our public works superintendent, you guys are doing a great job because you went up there right away from Mrs. Vonderland. She was very happy about that, and we all appreciate the promptness of you looking into the matter. So thank you so much.
I have none.
From my position, I know that I think everybody's got the copy of the Parks Board minutes. There was not a lot of activity there, but you did get a copy of that. Mr. Calhoun?
I've got a few comments back from the paving project, all positive. The contractors did a phenomenal job. They had a number of streets that involved schools, obviously had to work somewhat around the rush hours, but inevitably they were during rush hour traffic for schools, but constant professionalism, a lot of feedback from the residents on the job they did was fantastic. And then just a few communications this week regarding leaf pickup, starting too early, not going too late enough. And again, that's something I think we're all aware is the ongoing issue of the arbitrary dates that are binding in our current contract that we'll potentially look at adjusting next year, possibly this year if we're able to.
Reports of boards and commissions. Mayor?
I have none.
Ms. Miller?
We did have a few things last night for design review committee. Things from a shed to a fence, just a few different things, and nothing out of the ordinary.
Looked like quite a few items on your agenda.
Yes, there was. Everything was good and everything was approved.
Great. Mr. Net?
Our meeting is next week, so I have no report.
Okay. Wade?
I'll start with me. We received our invitation to develop our full application for the hazard mitigation grant project. As you recall, earlier in the summer we submitted for the Bradford Briarcliff drainage project. We're denied that application. They opened up a second round of the hazard mitigation funds. We applied again. We've been invited to develop that full application. The deadline for that is February 2020, so we will work with our engineers to develop that full application with the hopes of getting up to 75% federal dollars to complete that project. This is the starting at the bike trail, that drainage channel that runs all the way down to essentially Glenview, crosses over Cardinal. We've got upsizing of pipes on Bradford Briarcliff area, as well as increasing detention retention areas within the street. All told, it's close to $2 million. If we get the 75% grant from the federal government, we're looking at offsetting the cost of that to the tune of $1.5 million. So we'll be working on that. Our comprehensive planning steering committee had their fourth meeting, basically summarized everything up until this point. There was a public engagement memo that I believe council was included on, or was shared with council, basically summarizing everything that they've done up until this point. A lot of the focus has been on transportation, the village green, and parks and recreational activities. We're slowly moving out of the public engagement phase, which is a lot of the feedback and the community surveys that were done both online and at some of the events we did over the summer, and getting into more of the future land use and other aspects of the comprehensive plan as we work towards that probably early spring completion of the comprehensive plan. And that's all. The items that are on the agenda we'll discuss when we get to those.
Okay, very good. Ms. Mike?
I've been working on the budget adjustment for tonight, and we received the final second half real estate distribution for 2019. We also received this week a check for $35,000, which is a refund from the Bureau of Workers' Comp, representing 88% of the premium that we paid in 2017 because they invested their money so wisely they could give it back to us.
That's probably about the first time that's ever happened.
No, we've actually gotten ones last couple years.
Okay, great. Chief Lucci.
Switching it up. Creatures of habit over here. Definitely your golf. So I'm glad that Chris Clay's family stuck around, because I wanted to thank her personally and speak on behalf of the police department. And Attorney Fortunato and I were just talking. We didn't realize how stringent the requirements were, and that less than 10% of municipalities get the award, if I understood it correctly. So Christine's been a blessing to work with. She is never afraid to tell myself, IT, no. So I don't even question her when she says no sometimes. But she does great. It's been an honor to work with her. And you've gone back to Sandy Mayberry, and the transition was smooth. And so I enjoy working with Christine. She does a fantastic job and a great representative of this city. So thanks for showing your support. Getting back to business, we just received a 911 update. Our 911 system and our audio recording system. Mahoney County 911 funded the project. And so we have 2 completely brand new 911 systems. Every PSAP in Mahoney County is receiving them. I believe there's 2 more left. And so the system, the transition went seamless. We're up and running and using it as we speak. And the audio recording, and that's equipment that's very expensive, and we're able to use that funds through Mahoney County 911. A lot of it comes from the 911 cellular tax. And so our system's up to date and running. Next project in dispatch is county-funded CAD system, new CAD for dispatchers. And they're also using a new EMD system, emergency medical dispatching. Before, if you call 911 and somebody's having a heart attack, for example, our dispatchers have always given direction over the phone on how to perform CPR or other first aid if needed. And we recently upgraded to a computerized system, so it pops up right next to CAD, and those directions are prompted for our dispatchers right away. So that time from getting the calls dispatched to an officer or a paramedic arriving, our dispatchers are giving life-saving instructions, and we've awarded and recognized a few of them here in the past. They continue to do it on a day-to-day basis. Heart attack, cuts, pregnancies, you name it, they're prepared to give those instructions. So that's a significant advantage we have. Again, we're still the only dispatch center in the county that offers that service. So they do an excellent job with that. I found out yesterday, and McDonald's reached out to Detective Sergeant Wells, and today they hosted coffee with the cops at McDonald's, and I understand it was just a community engagement. I don't believe that it benefited anything, but we participated. They had planned it, and I understand that it was up there on their sign, but we found out late in the game. So from here on out, moving forward, we might have a little bit more notice, and we could attempt to promote it a little bit more, but from what I understand, it was a success. We've done it in the past with Starbucks, and worked together with the Sheriff's Department to handle that, and the State Highway Patrol. So that was going on this morning, and last week I know that the flag read, Sarah, that was for funding of the funding of the square flag. Last week we were at McDonald's for the flag ceremony, and that was to benefit or go towards the flag on the green. Okay. So those community engagements are invaluable, and we embrace them, and always up to do that for any cost, whatever it may be. We also just had the pumpkin contest, all the events on the green this past Saturday. I wouldn't categorize it as anything other than a huge success. It was great. I love seeing the pumpkins around the gazebo. I like watching the kids and the adults decorate the pumpkins. The music act that Sergeant Wells brought in was fantastic. She did an amazing job. And just a good feel, good vibe, good atmosphere down on the green. We got 911 coffee. Then, I saw this today, and there's been a delay in getting it out there, but in September, Officer Dustin Cover, he's a school resource officer at the Mahoning County Career and Technical Center. Principal was having an issue with a student out in the parking lot. Completely ignored the principal. It was at the end of the day, so there was a lot of traffic, a lot going on. It ended up being there was a vape in the car, and he wouldn't give it to the principal, so he got Officer Cover. Officer Cover approached the subject, and it didn't go well. He wasn't cooperative at all. When Officer Cover opened the door of the car in an attempt to get the vape, the kid protected the vape, pulled back, attempted to punch Officer Cover in the face. The kid was tased, and at the completion of that, he got the car in drive, grabbed on Officer Cover, and pulled away. He drug Officer Cover about 10, 15 feet. And there have been plenty of situations where cops have been drugged and it turns into a lethal force situation where somebody gets shot or killed. But Officer Cover was able to get out of the way. Then the student drove at the principal, and he took off. He fled. He went down drove down the sidewalk, through the front yard grass, and took off down Palmyra towards Austintown. It was scary because he had no regard for not only what he did to the officer and the principal, but when he took off to flee, he drove down the sidewalk, and the school video, there's people crossing just prior to and after he did it. And to everyone else, they have no idea what's going on. This was in the back of the parking lot. So we were very happy that it ended and nobody got hurt. He turned himself in that night. He's been referred to juvenile justice center. He's 17. So nobody got hurt. Everybody was safe. And Officer Cover did an awesome job. And it was something I wasn't really planning on talking about, but I did see that it hit the media. And so it's probably through our normal reporting. But he did a fantastic job in, one, attempting to de-escalate the situation, and two, just dealing with this getting drugged. And it's a horrible spot to be in. So nobody got hurt, and we're happy, grateful for that. That's it. Thank you.
Attorney John.
Okay. Just a couple of things. Probably on your next agenda, you'll see some revisions to our drug abuse sections of our ordinance. In essence, it's changes to our marijuana statutes to reflect changes in the state law. We took a pretty good approach to that. I know the PD has vetted what we've proposed, so you'll see that on your agenda. After we're done with that, then we're going to move into the changes that we need to make relative to state law changes with regards to hemp. So that'll be next. We'll clear up our statutes with regard to marijuana and then move on to hemp. We're also going to submit to you a utility bond requirement ordinance. We have a chapter in the code 901, but we need to beef that up. If East Ohio Gas or another utility provider is going to cut our roads, they need to now post a bond, pull a permit, etc., so that it's tough to get them out sometimes to repair the roads. So that was, I think, a request John made. John was great in finding a model ordinance for me out of Alliance. And while it was old, it was a nice model to start from. We're also working on a clear vision ordinance. I think I'd mentioned that before. That's with regard to window signage and limiting the amount of signage posted on a window. It's a safety issue in a lot of instances, so you'll be seeing that shortly as well. And then congratulations to Christine. I didn't know you were finance director till tonight. I stopped questioning Christine a long time ago. I've learned better, to keep my mouth shut rather than expose myself as ignorant to her. So she does a great job, and calls help me whenever I can help, and it's great working with her, and she deserves all the credit.
Okay. Mr. Rapp?
You may have noticed we've been out flushing hydrants. We've gotten 364 of those flushed for about 75 to complete the whole town. We've had 3 water line breaks just in the past few weeks. The Jade Circle storm line replacement is almost complete. We're just waiting for restoration. They will be out doing the landscaping part of it and next week. But the pipe is in and connected. Hilltop storm line replacement is complete, but we're still waiting on the same. We're going to do some restoration up there. Driveways are completed. As you know, the leaf pickup began Monday. We're dedicating a few hours every day, sweeping the entire town, making our rounds, and then we move on to other jobs. And we have a date set for the Neff and Route 46 water line replacement underneath of Route 46. It's going to be approximately 70 feet. It's going to be October 9th, next Wednesday. It's going to take all day long. We're going to replace the 6-inch cast iron line that had broken right in the middle of the road.
It's going to be an open cut.
It's a pretty open cut, yes. So we have coordinated with the police department, ODOT, the schools, and the fire department. Just, let everybody in the community know, bear with us for that day, and we'll have, flaggers and cones and barricades, and hopefully get it done pretty soon.
Okay, great. Who came up with the diffuser for the hydrant flushing? That's sort of a neat little device.
Well,
You get that one?
yeah.
Okay, good job. Mr. Cook?
For the month of September, we issued 21 permits for a total valuation of $713,455. It's one of the largest months we've had in a long time here in the city. Giannino's Pizza, I just talked to him today, and they were supposed to sign their lease this week, so they're moving forward with their operation there. Ace is taking applications on the 7th at the store, and they're supposed to open around the 20th of the month.
The pizza shop, are they squared away on their outside cooler or whatever?
Outside cooler, they got it okay, approved.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay, are there any citizens here that would like to ask any questions about any of the reports that you just heard? Oh, there's a citizen. Please state your name and address.
I've been there before. Good evening, Frank McHugh, 220 Glenview. A couple of issues. First, for Christine, how much money did the city get as a part on that real estate tax for the second half? Is a flat back.
$650,000 plus the police levy. No, that is with the police levy, sorry. $650,000 for the second half.
That's approved. Okay. Question number 2, or issue number 2, it appears that there's a glimmer of hope that we may extend the leaf pickup from what I just heard. Is that true?
Possibly. So the deadline for our contract vendor is November 22nd. So if we are able to, we may look at doing sweeps like we are currently with our current crews. But that is solely contingent upon the weather and the ability to do that.
You all probably know I did write a letter to everybody, an email saying, I think we ought to extend that. And this has gone on year after year because we get the Thanksgiving, and it's always leaves to be picked up. And anything we can do, I'm sure the citizens will appreciate that.
We always try to do everything you tell us to.
Would you repeat that?
I did notice that our leaves are not falling either because of this with this heat wave we've had. In fact, my flowers have regrown. So the weather, they have the time of the year confused right now. I have noticed that.
Well, just from my observations year after year, it does go beyond Thanksgiving. And I appreciate Wade's concern and effort to keep me happy.
Okay. Do we have any persons this evening that desire to appear before council? I have two on a list. Frank, you're up first.
I thought I was second.
Change things up.
You got it.
I thought there was a gentleman ahead of me.
He had requested to go second.
Oh, okay. Good evening, I'm Frank McKeon, 220 Canfield Avenue. I'd like to get something on record. Recently, I protested to the Board of Elections in regard to two Canfield City Council persons' eligibility to run for another term. My contention was they were termed out for the charter under which they were elected and are currently serving. I made a detailed presentation to the Board of Elections. The Board of Elections denied my protest and allowed these persons to run again in 2019. I agree we have to live by their decision, but it is not above being questioned. Let's take a closer look at what happened. You, as voting residents, elected these persons under the charter who said they have 3 terms, 2 years each. Per that charter, these incumbents were termed out this year. In the 2018 general election, an amendment to the city charter said that persons elected in 2019 may serve 4-year terms. The Board of Elections said that means termed out incumbents could run in 2019 despite being termed out under the previous guidelines. In other words, we can disregard what the voters said. The 2018 ballot issue said nothing about incumbents being exempt from the term limits.
That is not correct.
May I continue?
Go ahead.
Is it okay to retroactively change rules which were approved, especially in regard to people who represent them? 4-year terms are okay in the future. That does not change what voters approved in the past. I do not want my vote changed. So the 2018 4-year terms were applied retroactively to the previous term limits. Your votes from previous elections did not count in regard to the term limits. Your wishes as expressed in your previous votes were victims of a political effort to keep the termed out incumbents in office. I believe the voters did not get a fair shake in this decision. In addition, there were articles about the Board of Elections meeting published in the Vindicator and Town Crier. In neither one of these articles was I interviewed in regard to the outcome of this meeting. After all, I was only the person who precipitated the meeting. City officials were interviewed. The voters who approved these charter amendments voted for 4-year terms with a maximum of 16 years service. These amendments were put on the ballot by council for their benefit. Voters, be careful what you wish for. You may get it. Thank you.
Mr. Kia, there were 2 issues put on the ballot in 2018.
Correct.
One issue was to change the term limits to 4 years. The second was to change the number of terms to 4.
Correct.
That passed.
I agree.
Okay. Well,
I agree. I'm just questioning the fact that they made the thing retroactive.
Well, I'm just going to stay on the record that I disagree with you. The Mahoney County Board of Elections unanimously disagreed with you, and we move forward under what I think is a clear understanding of the
I'm
law.
just using this time to express my opinion.
Right, and I'm using this time to make sure on record that everybody understands that was a unanimous decision by the Board of Elections against you. Okay.
But I think there's a little more to it. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Boris? State your name and the address.
Hi, my name is Charles Boris. I live at 4557 Mellinger Road. I would like to take this opportunity, and basically I prepared a little statement that I'd like to read to the group this evening. I come here tonight to express my utmost appreciation for the Canfield Police Department in their handling of the situation that occurred on the middle school September 12th. I can speak firsthand as it was my son that was involved. Somewhere in the shuffle of this incident, there has been a lack of transparency between myself, the school board, the Canfield Police Department, as the Canfield Police have always handled this situation with professionalism that we all have in this community have grown to trust. I want to thank Mr. Duffett, Mr. Mayor Duffett, for coming out on Sunday and hearing firsthand the concerns of the Canfield parents in attendance. It says a lot to show a united front when it comes to the safety of our children, so thank you, Mr. Mayor. There is no room for error, and the mayor gave us some great insights into solutions for a very unfortunate situation that happened in our community. Somehow we have lost sight of the original goal. That is to protect our children and to give kids help that need help. People's egos and private agendas have clouded the reason for this entire situation to come to light. The original situation is children. From this point forward, we need to move into the direction of school safety for all students in the Canfield School District. Again, thank you, Chief Colucci and the Canfield Police. Thank you, the City of Canfield. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, move on to old business, of which we have not. New business. Let's see. New business. As per the provisions of Section 405 of the Charter of the City of Canfield, I move the council dispense with the requirement of 2 readings of the proposed ordinance and authorize adoption of the same upon its first reading. Have a motion. Mrs. Oliver, second.
Mr. Duffett?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Mrs. Oliver?
Yes.
Mr. Tisch?
Yes. As per the provisions of Section 405 of the Charter of the City of Canfield, I move the council dispense with the requirement of a full reading of the proposed ordinance and authorize reading by title only. For a second. Second. Mr. Neff?
Mr. Duffett?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Mrs. Oliver?
Yes.
Mr. Tisch?
Yes. Mr. Neff, would you read this, please?
Yes. Mr. Chairman, I have an ordinance to rescind the previous ordinance for the provision of dispatch services and declare it an emergency. We move for passage.
For a second.
Second.
Wade, do you want to explain a little bit about it?
Sure. So, Mayor and Council, if you remember, we passed the Ordinance 2019-34 authorizing myself to enter into the agreement for the City of Canfield to provide dispatching services for 5 separate fire agencies: Berlin Township, Cardinal Joint Fire District, Ellsworth, and Greene Township. Unfortunately, not all entities unanimously passed those agreements, being that it was a 5-party agreement. They're only in full force and effect if all 5 parties authorize and sign those agreements. So this ordinance rescinds our authorization of the previous ordinance to enter into those agreements, and we'll just continue to operate under the current agreements that are already in place for each of those fire agencies.
Any questions or comments from members of council?
How does this affect financial? How does it affect us financially? Can we renegotiate, or we just?
It doesn't. So everybody has been paying under the current agreements that are in place. This was going to be a different structure in the way they pay. We would have remained the same no matter what. So we wouldn't have gained additional monies through the new agreements, nor we would have lost any money to the new agreements.
Thank you.
In the Cardinal Joint Fire District, they go back retroactively to
everybody. They operate under the current agreement that's already in place.
Which is a percentage.
Yes.
Any questions or comments from citizens? Okay, please call roll.
Mr. Duffett?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Mrs. Oliver?
Yes.
Mr. Tisch?
Yes.
2019-49.
Okay, as per provision Provisions of Section 405 of the Charter of the City of Canfield. I move the council dispense with the requirement of 2 readings of the proposed ordinance and authorize adoption of the same on its first reading. Second.
Second.
Mrs. Oliver?
Mr. Duffett?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Mrs. Oliver?
Yes.
Mr. Tisch?
Yes. As per the provisions of Section 405 of the Charter of the City of Canfield, I move that council dispense with the requirement of a full reading of the proposed ordinance and authorize reading by its title only. Need a second.
Yes. Second.
Mayor Duffy.
Mr. Duffett?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Mrs. Oliver?
Yes.
Mr. Tisch?
Yes. Mrs. Oliver, would you read this?
Mr. President, I have an ordinance amending Canfield Codified Ordinance Section 505.08 and move for passage.
Second. I guess I can second the motion. Okay.
I'll second.
Okay. Put your hand. Explanation?
Yeah. So currently we have Section 505.08A that defines nuisance conditions that are prohibited within the City of Canfield. This adds additional language to strengthen that ordinance, mainly to address actions that may be taken by certain individuals to promote the congregation of animals that then creates a public nuisance. So currently the language as it exists addresses sort of the same thing, but it doesn't address in the event that somebody has 20 dogs on their property. There's nothing that constitutes a public nuisance in the ordinance currently, other than now with the new language, it strengthens that if the presence of 20 dogs is creating that unsanitary conditions or causing injury or peril to life and property of neighbors, they are now in violation of that ordinance.
But is that broad enough to take in other animals as well? Pigs, chickens?
Yeah, so the broad ordinance is animals and fowl, so we don't specifically call it any particular animal within the ordinance.
And we're not going, this is nothing, it's really some very minor changes, as Wade said. And we're not worrying about people that eat birds or, minor activities. But if you're putting apples in the yard, 100 deer show up every morning to eat the apples and also eat your neighbor's shrubs every morning, right? Then we got problems. So that's all this is addressing.
Very good. Any questions or comments from the public? Mr. McKee?
Hello, Frank McKee, 220 Canfield. Does this ordinance mean that there's not going to be any chickens across the street from me?
No, we're not going after the chickens. Chickens have long been allowed in the city of Canfield.
That's what I'm trying to get at. So I should warm up the crock pot, huh? And that's nothing to do with bees, right?
It has nothing to do with bees.
He brought it up.
Yeah, this has nothing to do with bees.
All right, but the chickens...
We have a separate bee ordinance.
Catherine, now 570.
Chickens wake me up in the morning.
Proud owner of 4 chickens for the last 5 years.
Keep them out of Frank's crock pot.
The ordinance itself, I feel should be tabled and discussed further, only because of the wording. The changes in the wording, because it's already, like you said, it's already on record. But the words that are changed are, number 1, feeding, and then number 2, taking any action which promotes the congregation of animals. So I thought that was very broad, general, and very wide aspects of interpretation. So, like feeding, inside or outside?
No, listen, you're missing the second part of the change. The second part is so as to create a noxious or offensive odors or other problems off the premises, right?
Okay.
That's what. So if you're doing anything on the premises, you're feeding, you're promoting a congregation, and it's not causing problems for your neighbors or the neighborhood. This isn't in play, right? So you can feed all you want. It's just, once it gets to the point where it's impacting your neighbor's property in a negative way, that we would have this enforcement tool.
Okay. Do you have a specific number for congregation?
No.
Because I do have a neighbor that has a lot of dogs.
Yeah, no, we don't.
And then also, when I was looking up like feral cats, somebody might be feeding feral cats, right?
Right.
Under like other legislation, it wasn't it was a fourth degree misdemeanor. I mean, is that something that we should be specific about? Because the penalties, when you go to talk to somebody, you have to have, like right now in the law, let's say something arises and the police have to go to the door, knock on the door and say, hey, you're in violation, your neighbor's got pictures of deer eating their tulips or whatever, and we want, something changed. Because congregation is not really specific.
Again, it's congregation in a manner that creates noxious or offensive odors off the premises or unsanitary conditions or causes injury to property or children or neighbors. That's it. So, and again, this isn't, people are going to get a warning here. And if they do get cited, they're going to come and see the mayor. I would assume the mayor's going to say, go see the prosecutor, and we're going to work through it. This just gives us an enforcement tool. We looked at feral cat ordinances, and those things are horrible for the most part. Tag and release and all these other things. We wanted nothing to do with that. We just want to be able to say, listen, you're feeding 40 cats on your property. The neighbors can't stand the smell. I'm not saying you, but somebody. And, you got to take care of the situation, right? This gives us an enforcement tool for kind of the extreme situations. And Nancy's birds. No, I'm just
Right. Taking any action, that could be somebody's garden. That could be a pond that's attracting a deer that's walking through the neighbors. I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, it's been there.
We're not going to enforce it that way.
All right. Okay.
Any other questions?
Mr. Duffett?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Mrs. Oliver?
Yes.
Mr. Tisch?
Yes.
It's 2019-50.
Very good. Okay, as per the provisions of Section 405 of the Charter of the City of Canfield, I move the council dispense with the requirements of 2 readings of the proposed ordinance and authorize adoption of the same upon its first reading. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Duffett?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Mrs. Oliver?
Yes.
Mr. Tisch?
Yes. As per the provisions of Section 405 of the Charter of the City of Canfield, I move the council dispense with the requirement of full reading of the proposed ordinance and authorize reading by title only. Is there a second, please? Second. Mayor?
Mr. Duffett?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Mrs. Oliver?
Yes.
Mr. Tisch?
Yes. Mr. Duffett. Mayor Duffett.
Mr. President, I have an ordinance creating the Federal OBI Task Force Grant Fund for fiscal year 2020. I move for passage.
Second. Motion is second. Explanation?
Sure, Mayor and Council, this basically creates a new fund specifically for the Federal OBI Task Force Grant. This is kind of an annual grant that our police department receives in their administration of the county's OBI Task Force activities. Every year, this grant's awarded right around this time. The grant amount is $225,000. It is for next year's fiscal year. However, because we received the grant in this fiscal year, we always recognize the
Well, it's October 1st. Their grant year is October 1st to September 30th.
So this merely creates the grant fund, and then I believe later on with our adjustments to some of the funds, you'll see the revenue actually being realized and adjusted in the appropriate fund.
Citizens, any questions?
Duffett?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Mrs. Oliver?
Yes.
Mr. Tisch?
Yes.
It's 2019-51.
Okay, as per the provisions of Section 405 of the Charter of the City of Canfield, I move the council dispense with the requirement of 2 readings of the proposed ordinance and authorize adoption of the same upon its first reading. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Oliver?
Mr. Duffett?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Mrs. Oliver?
Yes.
Mr. Tisch?
Yes. As per the provisions of Section 405 of the Charter of the City of Canfield, I move the council dispense with the requirement of full reading of the proposed ordinance and authorize reading by title only. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Duffett?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Mrs. Oliver?
Yes.
Mr. Tisch?
Yes.
That $225,000.
Yes. Acting President, I have an ordinance providing transfers to various funds and will move for passage. Okay, I have an ordinance amending ordinance 2019-17, and I move for passage, and we move for passage.
There's a lot more to that.
Okay. Excuse me. Mr. Acting President, I have an ordinance amending ordinance 2019-17 for the annual appropriation ordinance to make appropriations for current expenses and other expenses of the city of Canfield, state of Ohio, during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2019, as we move to passage.
That was the current expenses and other expenditures. Sorry.
Thank you.
We have a second.
Second.
Mrs. Altman. I think that's pretty explanatory. You want to...
Sure. Again, it's adjusting appropriations or expenditures within certain funds, and you have the breakdown. The total is $440,806 and some change. The lion's share of that is the $225,000 of the OVI task force grant. The general fund is about a $65,000 adjustment. I believe council has the full breakdown from Christine on the ins and outs from some of the buckets to the other ones. Street CM&R fund adjustment of $63,000 and Stormwater Enterprise Funds adjustment of $85,000.
Any questions or comments from citizens? By the way, I think this is a much easier way. I know when I got my agenda and saw a whole appropriation ordinance and this, I'm going to play with this. But anyway, after I looked at it a while, I sort of figured out what it was. Okay, no other questions or comments?
We do this on a quarterly basis, correct? Is that right?
Typically, this is actually the first one we've done this year.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Duffett?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Mrs. Oliver?
Yes.
And Mr. Tisch?
Yes.
2019-52.
Okay. As per the provisions of Section 405 of the Charter of the City of Canfield, I move the council dispense with requirements of 2 readings of the proposed ordinance and authorize adoption of the same upon its first reading. May I have a second? Mr. Neff?
Duffett?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Mrs. Oliver?
Yes.
Mr. Tisch?
Yes. As per the provisions of Section 405 of the Charter of the City of Canfield, I move the council dispense with the requirements of full reading of the proposed ordinance and authorize reading title only. May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Duffett?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Mrs. Oliver?
Yes.
Mr. Tisch?
Yes.
Mr. President, I have an ordinance providing transfers to various funds, and we move for passage.
Is there a second?
Second.
Here. Do you want to hit that one quick?
Yep. So again, as the ordinance says, we're transferring dollars from one fund to another for various amounts, all told $7,510. Basically, most of the transfers are coming from performance deposits per some of the requirements at the time that somebody builds new with water, tap fees, and security deposits for a number of activities as it relates to parks or renting of facilities. So it's just a mere transferring some of those security deposit funds to, in preparation of the end of the year closeout, the unclaimed money funds. Christine will allude to after security deposits sit for so many years, we move it to unclaimed monies and then eventually write those unclaimed monies off to where we're never going to essentially send that check back to the person.
Right, after 5 years, that money gets forfeited to the general fund from unclaimed monies.
Any questions or comments from citizens?
Mr. Duffett?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Mrs. Oliver?
Yes.
Mr. Tisch?
Yes.
2019-53.
As per the provisions of Section 405 of the Charter of the City of Canfield, I move council dispense with the requirement of full reading of the proposed ordinance and authorize reading by, accept its proposed motion and authorized by reading of title only. Second. Second.
Mr. Duffett?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Mrs. Oliver?
Yes.
Mr. Tisch?
Yes. Mayor, you want to read this one?
Sure. Mr. President, I have a motion setting the date and time for a trick or treat in the city of Canfield. I move for passage. Well, I don't have.
Do you have a second?
Oh, I thought you were calling on me. I'm anxious for the candy.
Motion and a second. Any questions or comments?
Explanation. So this is the always famous setting the date for trick or treating in the city of Canfield. We have proposed to set the trick or treat date for Thursday, October 31st, which is Halloween night, from the hours of 5:30 p.m. to the hours of 7:30 p.m.
Do we have any idea what other communities are?
We do.
We usually get a shot at this one way or the other because we choose a date and then they choose another date and we get criticized.
Boardman's 5 to 7, Austintown is the same as ours. I don't believe Canfield Township has set theirs yet, but I think last year we had the same times.
Okay, very good.
What were the hours again? 5:30 to 7:30. Or as long as the lights are on, go ask for candy.
Call roll, please.
Mr. Duffett?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Mrs. Oliver?
Yes.
Mr. Tisch?
Yes.
2019-15.
Seems like that must be about it. Councilman comments?
I just want to salute Christine again for that ninth year in a row. Congratulations.
I say congratulations, and I also say congratulations for the project. And for everybody to have good news.
I need to apologize to Christine for forgetting. And also for the that's the money they raised and the light will be great. We are